There's a moment in relationships where nothing is technically wrong, but something doesn't quite feel right.
Yeah, there's no big betrayals, no obvious moments, but sentences that seem harmless but aren't.
Yeah, these are the sentences that people share right before they stop reaching. And it's not because they don't care, but it's because intimacy has started to feel unsafe.
In today's episode, we're going to be going into the things that partners start to say before they emotionally distance. And the thing to caveat and understand in this conversation is distance happens.
Mm.
We need distance and space from people. We need it from our kids, let alone our partners.
Right.
And distance isn't the crime. The thing we want to really look at is what's happening in the roots.
Yeah.
There's a root system that can cause not just distance, but like literally chasms between people.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's because one or both partners don't feel safe or don't know how to convey what they actually need.
Yeah. So if you are hearing any of these phrases or if you are saying them yourself, it is important to know that your relationship is not broken. It is just asking for a little extra TLC and attention. So let's get into it. So the first phrase is I'm just really tired. Now, that of course can be physical tiredness if you are in a season where you just had a baby, you just bought a house, you're renovating, you're starting a business. There's a lot of things you're going through, perimenopause or hormonal shifts. There's a lot of things physically that can add to that sense of tiredness. But what we're talking about here is the emotional fatigue that starts to set in when you feel like, I'm tired of having these same conversations. I'm tired of feeling the distance between us. I'm tired of not feeling safe in this relationship. These are the things that are the unsaids under the statement of I'm just tired.
Yeah, oftentimes I'm just tired is masking I don't know how to get the needs met that I currently have.
Yeah.
And this is such a tender subject because it's so easy to point at our partners and say, You're not doing enough.
It's a you problem.
Yeah, you're not filling my cup. You're not making everything good.
Right.
But deeper than that, usually there's a grief,
Oh, yeah.
a setting in of, oh my God, this might be what the next 30, 40, 50 years look like. There's
Yeah.
like, I was sold the fairy tale, and now I'm in the messy, ugly reality where I don't want to fight anymore because I don't have the space to do it. I don't have the energy to do it. I want to be close. One of the ways you know you're not overly narcissistic is you start to recognize that there are patterns that you're playing out. And so you then start to feel like you're crazy. Then we bounce back and we're like, no, they're crazy. And there's this interesting dynamic that happens where a partner will just say, you know what? I'm just really tired. I just need space.
Mm. Yeah, I think the big thing here is there's this disillusionment under this phrase of really, like you said, feeling checked out and almost feeling like I don't know how to get what I need and what I want from this dynamic. And I also feel really exhausted from trying all these things. Like I'm reading all the books, I'm listening to the podcast, I'm doing all the things. And like, this we could also point to like emotional overfunctioning. Sometimes there's a partner that's been the pursuer
Mm-hmm.
and like, hey, we should go to therapy. Hey, we should get coaching. Hey, you should read this book. And the partner's like, yeah, 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 I'll get to it. Right. And at some point, they just kind of check out
Mm-hmm.
and separate. And again, when a partner is saying, hey, I'm just tired and it's not just physical and you can feel that,
Mm-hmm.
what they're really saying here, because it's hard to be vulnerable and sometimes it's hard to even name what we're actually feeling,
Yes.
is I still want to be connected to you, but I just don't know how. And I'm exhausted from trying to figure it out and I feel alone
Mm-hmm.
in that sense.
Yes. You know, to be super vulnerable, both of us had this happen.
100%.
And, it led to some dark times in our relationship.
It's a
I was thinking that I was doing the right thing by more over functioning, trying to be the superhero of the relationship. And if I check more boxes off, then I'll get whatever thing I think you're not bringing and giving. And my experience of you was you were doing the exact same thing.
yeah.
And so both of us got to the point where we're like, okay, well, if this isn't going to work, then I'm just going to quietly step out the back door
Yeah.
and I'll do what's necessary, but I'm not going to put myself on the hook or on the line anymore for something that isn't paying off. And I'm saying all of this, and it's really vulnerable for us to share these things, but we made it through, and we brought a lot of awareness to them. I'm saying it because there's some of you right now who are in this position
Yeah.
where there's a part of you that thinks maybe this isn't the relationship for me because you're afraid and tired of the same old loop and pattern, and you're starting to find the exits, and it could just be emotional exits. Just, you no longer have access to my heart anymore because, you know, I don't think you really see me or get me. If you're in that
Yeah.
place, this you can come out.
You can. And just a quick note to that, because I know we've both been in both the physical tired, where it's like we're
Mhm.
actually physically exhausted from what we're holding in life and lack of capacity. And then there's been the emotional fatigue of like, I'm exhausted from trying. And so if you're feeling like your partner's in the physical fatigue, something you can do to again bring that extra care and attention is like, hey, I can really feel that you're at capacity or you're maxed out right now. What can I do to support? Something as simple as that, or what do you need right now? Or I got dinner tonight. Go, like go take a walk or go take a bath or whatever it is. Like having your partner's back in that like unconscious high five is such a big deal. And it's in the little micro moments that matter. And then if it's an emotional fatigue thing, like for instance, I used to just say, it's fine. I'm just tired when something was up for me. It's like something's up for me, but I'm just tired. And it's like, no, I was really saying I'm tired of trying to have this conversation and it not leading anywhere, X, Y, and Z. And so if you know and you have this suspicion that that's what your partner's saying under what they're saying, it might be like, "Hey, I know this has been challenging in the past, or I know that we're in something right now. I just want you to know that even though I don't have the answers, I'm still here with you." That little statement can soothe somebody's nervous system and just open them up to go, "Ah, they are still here with me.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I can open a little more too."
That that brings us to number 2, which is it's not a big deal slash everything's fine. Usually when someone says it's not a big deal and everything's fine, they're lying. And more than likely,
Everything is not fine.
yes, more than likely they're lying to themselves
Yeah.
because they have a fear of chaos, they have a fear of mess, they have a fear of abandonment.
Mhm.
And so they'd rather
Rejection.
fall on their own sword and martyr themselves than to address you or the third entity called your relationship or whatever's not working. A friend and a person I've coached recently who broke up with this person who kept saying everything's fine. And they had been together for I think 3 years. And all of us were like, "Yo, you guys are so good together." And he's like, "No, we're not." And when he finally figured out, like, she keeps saying things are fine when I know they aren't. I know she's feeling something.
Yeah.
I know she's mad at me. I know she's disappointed. I know I can feel it in my bones, but she will not express it. And so he broke up with her and told her. And I think they spent 6 months apart. And she came back and she said, "You were right.
Mm.
You were right." And she poured her heart out. And they've made it a practice. She brought this from childhood.
Yeah.
She never knew how to really address anything because addressing it meant abandonment.
Yeah, this one is really insidious because saying I'm just fine or things are good, often they sound great on the surface. You're like, ah, my partner is amazing. Like no conflict in my relationship. We never fight. Things are great. But oftentimes the person who's saying this, A, likely has a pattern from childhood that has followed them into this relationship where they don't feel safe to speak their needs. They may not even know how to access their needs or access their desires or access that inner truth
Mhm.
because they were patterned and conditioned to swallow it. Maybe they grew up in a chaotic household or they grew up with a parent that really like didn't give them any space to be heard. So they don't know how to find their voice in relationship. And that can feel like a good thing in the beginning, but long term, this is going to lead to a lot of built up resentment, a lot of unsaids, and one partner feeling almost oblivious. And this happens a lot in divorces where they're like, "What? I thought we were good. I thought we were happy. Like
Mm.
you seemed fine." And inside the person's been boiling for years.
Yeah. To put a cap on this, it's not indifference. This is self-protection.
100%.
And the partner who's most resource, it's their job to catch that and lean into it and do your best to invite your partner into whatever it is that's really there, because they might not know how to get to it by themselves. That's
Mm,
why we're relational beings. It's why we do relationship, not just to procreate, but
yeah.
to help each other grow and expand.
Yeah, it's really big, and again, all these are super deep and super nuanced, but we're gonna try and just get through a few of these because there are many. The next one that is huge, and we totally fell into this trap, is like, we're just really busy right now,
Yes.
and there's less talking, less touching, less flirting, and just like you're in the momentum of your life, you're in a busy season, and things just are kind of paced where you're like, "Oh, there's really no space for us. We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it." And I think, Preston and I, for a very long I mean, most of our lives before we even met each other, we were just very busy people. We were always up to something, always building something, and then we met each other, and it's like, "Ooh, let's build together," and then we just were always like people who knew us from when we first met, they're like, "Man, you guys have been working so hard and hustling the entire time I've known you guys," and we have. Then you add kids to the mix, and life gets even busier and crazier. And I think for us, prior to things getting hard, we we really like laid back into this excuse because it was such an obvious one. And nothing was essentially wrong at that time,
Mhm.
but we just were missing each other.
That.
And it was like passing ships in the night, even when we were next to each other working on a project or launching a course or leading a workshop.
Yeah.
And I think this one led to a lot of the other ones
Yes.
that because we weren't present enough to pay attention
Mhm.
to that, that slowly started to dissolve our connection, and because the connection was dissolved, it led to some of these other ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a really big one for couples in particular, and really single people figuring out their lives. If you don't use something, you will lose that thing.
Yeah.
Muscles atrophy. And so, whatever we practice more of, we get more of. And if you're out of practice of building space and time for intimacy, creating intentional time for dialogue and play
Mm.
and joy and exploration and curiosity, if you do not build that section of your life together, it will atrophy. And then eventually that busyness, because the busyness never stops.
It sure
There will
does.
never not be a time when there's stuff to hold. Holding stuff and checklists and busyness is here to stay.
Yeah.
Being intentional enough to understand the distinction between just because I'm not busy doesn't mean I'm available,
Mm.
because we fill the time up,
Yeah.
right? If we're talking about individuals, there's the collective and the relationship, and oh, we're just busy. But the individual sometimes becomes like addicted to the busyness.
Well, and I'll say from my end, again, prior to even meeting you, part of my strategy of staying safe was staying busy.
Yes.
And so my safety came from having work, having a project, having people to focus on. Like my energy was always focused out. And that was a way that I felt really safe and could almost self soothe without realizing it until I realized it. Once I realized it, I'm like, oh, spaciousness is actually my deepest medicine. And it's also probably the most uncomfortable medicine to take, right?
Mm.
Because of my addiction to the hustle and the busyness and work and the overgiving and all of that. And so when we were in that season, I think a big solve for me, because again, our lives are only getting busier
Mm-hmm.
because of all the things. But a big solve for me has been how much space can I gift myself to actually be with myself so I can be present to myself so that present self can be present to you.
Facts.
And so that's the solve. If you're like, "Ooh, we're in that busy season right now and it only feels like the momentum's picking up," creating space for yourself is essential, not just for your own sanity. Yes, it's essential for that, but it's essential for the lifeblood of your relationship. When you make time, even if it's just 10 minutes before bed and you just spend that time connecting before you turn the TV on, like that's really important and will go so far.
Absolutely. The next sentence that someone might say before emotional distancing, which is, really a scary one, is I don't even know what I want anymore.
Yeah, this one is just so big. And I know I felt this numerous times, various times throughout our relationship, but this one is such a cry for intimacy and closeness, not just with our partner, but ultimately for ourselves,
Mhm.
right? I think when we are courageous enough to name this, we've at least touched a part of ourselves that is being honest, maybe for the first time in a long time, of like, there's a grief here that I don't know who I am.
Mm.
I don't know what I want anymore. I don't know what I need. And that scares me. And if I'm going to name that out loud to myself, first of all, that's very courageous. Second of all, if I'm going to bring it to you, that is like, hey, I'm scared and I want you on my team.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
Yes. Yes. The gift in this is exactly that. The fact that someone's even willing to say that out loud is an indicator that there is a certain level of trust
Mm.
in that partnership. Now, some people say this internally.
Yeah.
They think it, they feel it. And what it's sort of pointing to is they don't have touch. They've lost touch with their desires, with their spark, with what makes them true and real.
Yeah.
Um, Oftentimes, someone who says, like, I don't even know what I want anymore, is in the middle of some type of identity crisis.
Yeah.
And this is actually a good thing. People come to Bridge, our workshop, in this space, and we
Yeah.
say, congratulations.
You are in the metamorphosis right now, baby.
Yes.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yes. This is actually a beautiful place to be because you get to rebuild and choose your life from this point forward. You get to design a life.
Intentionally.
Most people die living someone else's version of their life.
Mm.
Meaning, whatever television, whatever the church said, whatever their mommy and daddy got to do or didn't get to do, they try to fulfill those things, and it's a default life. And so when we have an opportunity to break everything and we get to the point where we're like, I don't even know anymore.
Mm.
I don't know who I am outside of
My job,
this,
these kids.
the dogma that I was fed.
Yeah.
Who am I now? That opportunity is so big and beautiful, and it oftentimes doesn't feel like that. It comes packaged as the worst thing ever, but it is an invitation to evolution. It's
Yeah.
an invitation into your bigness. And truth be told, if you hear your partner say that, just love on them times a million.
That I was gonna say this one, number 4, is like one of the best ones you can hear because in my opinion, this signifies that the person who's feeling the disconnect is actually doing the work and looking at their role
Mhm.
in the disconnection. They are aware that, hey, I feel pretty disconnected from myself, my needs, my desires, my spark, my aliveness, my next step. And I've maybe been looking at you thinking you're the problem, but now I'm aware that I don't even have that connection to me. And therefore, how could I be connected to you? So if you're hearing this one, you are with a person that has gotten to this place of responsibility and is really looking for a teammate
Mhm.
to go, okay, what do we get to do? How do we want to design this? How can I support you? Um, like really stepping up to the plate and even co-designing something together is a really powerful thing in this stage.
Number 5, which is in many ways something we spoke about in other episodes. Number 5 is if you hear your partner saying things like, it's easier if I just handle it myself, they are headed towards emotional distance. Um, a partner who says that is often somebody who's overfunctioning.
Mm.
They are somebody who feels like the weight of the world is on them and they need to do it all. And they've stopped playing team. And that doesn't mean that it's all on them. If you hear your partner say this, there's probably a likelihood that there's somewhere where you could step in and bypass what they're saying. And I'll give you an example between her and I. Alexi is one of the best moms you will ever find.
Oh,
And she goes hard. And sometimes I will just run interference and I'll say, hey,
I go too hard sometimes.
yes. I would say, hey, go to the sauna, go take a walk, go to the gym, go get coffee, go do something, but
Yeah.
get out of this house, get out of the mothering that you're doing, get out of the heaviness and the load you're carrying, because I understand I have a partner who is built like a brick house. She can go there.
I can. I have a very high capacity for life, and sometimes that comes at a detriment.
Facts.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. Here's the thing. I do too.
I know we both do.
Yes. And when you recognize that in someone else,
Yeah.
right, you gift them with the part of you that says, no, 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 no. I know you got this and I know you think you can, but I got this.
Yeah.
Please go.
Yeah.
Please sit down. Please take some time for yourself. Take a bath today.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that, again, was kind of circles to a point that I wanted to bring up here. If you hear your partner saying this, there's likely a miscommunication or a lack of communication around what is being held, right? And so I know when we were really in this phase of both of us kind of overgiving and overstepping and overtaking the things, all the things, emotionally, kids, house, all the things, we weren't communicating about it. Like, we weren't talking about it. We weren't like, hey, I'm going to do this thing because this really matters to me. Okay, I'm going to do this thing because this really matters to me. And I'm going to do this because this really matters for you. And there was just no talking about it. So we were just kind of over functioning on a pattern, right? A pattern that wasn't working for ourselves or the relationship, without actually acknowledging, one, does this actually matter for me, for you, for us, for the kids? Do we want to throw this out? If we're going to do it, what's like the minimum level of doing it that we're going to do it to, so that we both have mutual satisfaction on it? And I think these are really important things, because running interference is awesome. But I know for me, in my like wired brain, sometimes it's like, oh yeah, but if I go take a bath right now,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not going to be able to relax in the bath because I still have the laundry to fold and, all these things. So having these conversations and knowing what matters to your partner and what lights their system up is important. Because, for instance, like just, a real-time example that we're in right now, I am currently getting rid of as much visual stimulation and clutter in our house that I possibly can. Why? Because I know that doesn't impact Preston as much as it impacts me. And, he doesn't mind if he walks in and there's a bunch of stuff on the counter, but for me, it like gets in my brain
Mm-hmm.
and I can't stop seeing it. And it's this unopened tab or this unfinished tab that I have to keep coming back to, of like, that needs to be clean. That needs to be clean. Things need to be put away. There's stuff over there. And so for me, if I can reduce that on my time, on my terms, I can stop getting angry at you for it, because it's not a problem for you. And I remember Byron Katie said this in one of her books. I forget which one it was, but she said, I used to walk into the house all the time and see my husband's socks on the floor. And I used to just get like so angry, like, there's a hamper right there. Why are your socks on the floor? And she realized at one point, after decades of having this issue with the socks on the floor, she's like, oh, it's not a problem for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem for me.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, and so if I have that problem, I have to find a solution for that. Doesn't mean he doesn't get to work with me on that. But my problem is visual clutter on the countertops and all over the house. So I get to work on that problem for me. And that looks like getting rid of 90% of the stuff and finding places where things go until they're ready to be tended to.
Yep.
And that's a really important thing, I think, for us, especially as women, because I know a lot of women will relate to this, of like, yeah, it'd be nice to just take a bath and relax, but I can't just turn off all the things. And so saying, yes, I would love to take a bath. Thank you so much. Can you just finish the dishes while I do?
Correct.
That would be the moment to really go, okay, go team, go, high five. Let's move on.
I think, tag onto this, and this is the last one, and we'll close this very soon. Levels of satisfaction.
Yep.
Is a really big piece in the, no, it's okay, I'll do it myself.
Yep.
So if you know that you have a high bar that is very challenging for anybody to meet.
That's me, by the way. It's challenging for me to meet my bars sometimes.
Then you get to celebrate your partner for the attempt.
Yeah.
And also give them clear instructions about what it is and how you want it to be, so that they can feel the satisfaction of doing the thing and not doing the thing and then being punished for doing the thing. Because it sort of circles everything back. if every time I put my hand in the cookie jar, you slap it, the likelihood of me wanting to interfere and put my hand in that cookie jar is going to be very low.
Yeah.
Especially even if we assign it, hey, you are the person who gets cookies out of the jar. It's my job to get cookies out of the jar. But every time I get the cookies out of the jar, you comment on the crumbs that fell off the side. You comment on how I did it wrong and I should have cut the peanut butter jelly sandwich this way instead of that way. It's going to create more emotional distance in both partners.
Yeah.
And so a culture of celebration, a culture of appreciation is something that her and I have been working on for years.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be around somebody who doesn't appreciate what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Or chastising them the whole time, being like, no, not that way, this way. And just to this note, that something really important psychologically to understand is that women's brains think a little bit differently, especially around the house and the kids, around doing things. So this is important to get, because then you can kind of set yourself up for success. A woman is thinking, if X, then Y. And so if I cut this peanut butter and jelly sandwich without cutting the crust off, my kid's not going to eat it. If they don't eat it, they don't eat something substantial for lunch. If they don't eat something substantial for lunch, they come home and they snack and they're cranky. If they're cranky, I've got to deal with the crankiness. So they're mitigating 3 steps ahead based on the result of this small thing,
Yeah.
right? And so for a male partner, he's like, it's no big deal. Because it's like peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They'll either eat it or they'll take the crust off or whatever. And this is an real-time example
Yeah.
from our house, because
Yeah.
one of our children will not touch a peanut butter and jelly sandwich
Well, hear this.
with a crust on.
Hear this, because this is a really good one. A male partner is thinking to himself, if X, then Y, but he's thinking even further out. If my child, and there's 4 of them, get to all hand select, I would like filet mignon done medium well, and if it doesn't come this way, then I shall not do anything. That man is thinking to himself, we are setting up a scenario that is going to hurt and harm these children later in life. It's going to be hell on earth all the way into 10, 15, 16 years old, because each of them is going to want their exactitude thing.
Yeah.
And we're putting them in a position where they're brats. And so nobody's right or wrong in this. Both partners are thinking ahead. And I'll just say, you and I are both thinking about this.
Yeah.
I have a philosophy that then they don't eat for 3 days then. Right? If you won't eat it because the crust is there, then you don't eat forever.
They'll eventually eat.
Exactly, right? But the party
For any of you worried if we starve our children, we do not. They will eventually.
But for you're like, I want to show up for this child. I want to understand and memorize everything they need. And I want to be a great mom. And that's not bad or wrong.
Right.
We just have 2 different philosophies around the thing.
Yeah.
And we can both get upset with each other if we're not communicating and or understanding the philosophy.
Well, and that's why I bring it up. And I brought up a kid example, and then I'll do kind of a neutral example like dishes, right? So a lot of women in my space and my coaching containers are like, oh, I asked my partner to do the dishes and then they half wash them and there's still food on them. Then I have to wash it again and it just creates more work. So I'll just do it myself, right? And so again, I think having this minimum standard of acceptance is really important. And speaking about it with each other, it's really an unsexy conversation, but you get to sit down and have a conversation about all the roles that you play, all the tasks that you take on in the house and as parents, and ask yourself like, hey, maybe it's month to month, maybe it's quarter to quarter, maybe it's forever, like, hey, this quarter you're going to be on trash duty. And that means you're going to take the trash out, you're going to refill the bag afterwards, you're going to clean up the can area, you're going to totally handle trash and order the trash bags. Okay, great. I'm going to take dishes duties. Okay, for the next quarter, and then we meet again and we renegotiate. But I think that's something like we didn't do that until I think was it after Cash was born that we did that? After our 4th was born. And it was like such a breakthrough to even have a conversation around this. I just read the book Fair Play. Such a great book, and it actually has a system in there where you can talk about these things and talk about all the pieces that are involved, because it's not just taking the trash out or just washing the dishes. It's looking at where the soap's at and when do we need to order it and all these different things. And I think as we are starting to really shift these roles as men and women and collaborate and work more together in the shared roles of the housework and the child rearing and all the things and earning money. It's important that we have these conversations without feeling defensive, without feeling like, oh my gosh, well, that means you don't see what I'm doing. It's like, well, we're just in a reality where we're both overwhelmed.
Hmm.
We both feel, like there's too much going on. We both feel like I'll just handle this because I don't trust that it's going to get done, whatever it is. Coming together and saying, hey, remember, we are on the same team here.
Hmm.
How can we help each other feel a level of satisfaction in these harder things in life or these boring things in life so that life feels a little easier when we're together and
Yep.
not harder?
Yep. I think the main thing to understand about this whole episode and what's really occurring when somebody's emotionally distancing themselves is that none of these statements are attacks.
Mm,
None of these statements are me or the partner trying to hurt the other one. They are simply attempts to manage pain
yeah.
without vulnerability. There's a fear that might be running underneath the whole thing. And the internal system is saying, notice me, help me, notice me,
Yeah.
help me. And there's personal responsibility in both sides.
Always. Yeah.
But then there's the responsibility of the collective and the responsibility of, hey, I signed up to dance with this soul.
Mm,
Out of 8 billion people, me and this beautiful soul, this person who came with all this history and all this trauma and all the things they've worked through, I signed up to not just hold the good parts and the parts that feel good, but I also signed up to help them move through the messiness and the scariness and the sad parts and the grieving parts. And so how can I, personally responsible for myself, swing around and also hold the nervous system of my partner and figure out a way to meet them where they feel safe enough to say what's true and real for them and find connection.
that's the piece that I think is really big. I think if you're hearing any of these statements or some version of it, it's really a moment to, instead of taking it personal and taking it like, oh, I'm failing or I'm not good enough or they're going to leave me or whatever it might trigger within you, which might get triggered and that's okay. Taking a breath and coming back to, wait a second. I love this person. If this was my child, I would get curious. I would move in. I would get more intentional. I would ask questions. I would really go, hey, like I'm feeling you right now. And I don't want to make up a story about what it means, but I'm here. I'm here if you need me. I hear that you're tired. I hear that you're fine. I hear that um, you'll just handle it. And I also know that these are signs that might lead to more disconnection. And I'm committed to you. I'm committed to us. I'm committed to this connection. And so I'm here. Like, let's work on this together. And I think that's a thing that we were missing in the beginning is when we were saying these things to each other. I think we were both on the receiving end getting it personalized a little too much.
Yes.
Like, oh, this must mean something about me. And again, that's natural. But if you can take a breath and really focus out and go, okay, yes, something might be off, but I can do something about that. We can do something about that. And I think that's the beauty in this is they're little signals. It's like a smoke alarm. It's a little signal like, hey, there might be a fire brewing in this house. Let's pay attention here and let's get intentional.
Yep. So if any of these are sounding familiar, just know that you're not broken and you're not alone. These are patterns, and humans come with patterns.
Yeah.
If you want help breaking through some of these patterns, individually and through your couplehood, if you're in a relationship, go to thebridgetolove.com. We have a community called Relationship Rewired, where we help you rewire and work with your body and your nervous system and the nervous system of your family,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like, so that you start to rewire the patterns for positivity,
Mm.
for things that actually work for you and your partner.